Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. Last time, for those of you who haven't listened to last time, we spoke about how do you know what you want, or what do you actually want, and a little bit on the power of wanting. So then today we thought we would look at a related idea, and it is knowing. Sometimes we just know something, and it's often we might know what to do or the next step to do about getting what we want. So we thought we would have a discussion about knowing and I think, some related topics. So what are you seeing with that, Kathleen? Or what are you hearing in what I just said?
Yeah, I mean, just for me, actually, kind of remembering what we talked about last time was wanting and um, really, really, we talked about some distinctions between, yeah, you think you want something, but then there's what you actually really, really want. And how do you know that? How do you distinguish if it's something that you really want? I think we might have touched on knowing a little bit last time, but I think that's the only way to know what you actually want is with your knower. so 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 talking about knowing, for me it's not I mean the intellect might like gather some data. Maybe if I'm looking at, I really want to buy this house, I might create a spreadsheet. I might, you know, investigate the neighborhood and the neighbors that live there. I might look at what property taxes are going to be and insurance. But ultimately, for me, even though there could have been some intellectual stuff going on, there's a point when I just know. And the knowing, I know that it's a yes, a no, a maybe, a later. But let's say it's a yes. Arriving at that yes, yes, I actually want to buy this house, comes from a different place. It doesn't come from the intellect. That's the knowing. And I say house because it's really interesting. In my membership, we had, I bet you 80% of the people in the membership when we first started a year ago all had recently had an experience of buying a home, and they all had the same experience. Like, I walked in and I just knew this was my house. This was the house that I wanted. And I don't know how common that is across the board, but I think there are certain things that people have a pretty familiarity with. Yeah, I actually want this, and I just know. I can't even put it into words. I can't pull out the spreadsheet. I walked into the house and I knew. What's your experience, Sarah Joy, with knowing?
Well, you were talking about it doesn't come from the intellect, or it doesn't come from thinking. Like, people just walk into the house and they knew, but it didn't have anything to do with the pros and cons of that particular house, or however they might think it through. Um, and so for me, knowing is quick. When I do know, it's like right away. If I don't know, then I don't know. But the knowing, and it's a feeling where it'll just be like this knowledge, but there's an expansiveness to it, a calmness, a clarity, even if it's something I don't really prefer, or something I don't like, where I realize, oh, it's this. I may not like it because it might be a bad situation, but I've realized, oh, this. But it always has that sort of, and for me, it feels like a grounding, like a coming down to earth feeling, and clear. If I'm overthinking about something. Should I do this or this or that or this? Often it's between two choices. Should I do this or this? As if there's only two choices available where there might be, 10 or infinite.
Infinite.
But the feeling of that thinking where I don't know, but I'm trying to force it or think or, it actually feels like it's up here and untethered in a negative way and flying around and moving rather than and not clear at all, like muddy, scrambled up. Knowing feels like it's grounded down to earth. I know it's clear and it's solid. It's not moving around. It's just there. Like it's reliable. So the more I notice, and at first that difference felt very subtle, even though I'm describing it now very differently. But it was like for a while, it was like, I can't quite tell. But the more I guess, pay attention to the difference between the two, the more obvious it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, I think we talked about last time how, or did we? Gosh, did we talk about how you can want something and you can actually want it, but you're not going to do anything to get it?
Yes.
We did talk about that. Yeah. But I come across a lot of people that go, I just don't know what I want. I don't, or there's a thing that they might want, but I just don't know if I actually want it. And so it's like then they go back up in their head to try to do the calculation to figure it out. And when in fact, to me, the knowing is, I don't know. Like sometimes, like there's a certainty, a grounding, a in the body, in the heart, like not up in the head, not, chattering noise of this and that. Maybe, the angel and the devil on the shoulders. That even the not knowing with certainty is knowing. Like you know that you don't know.
Yes. And I'm
So I think that's important to point out because as we're having a conversation about what do you actually want, there may be people listening that go, I think I want that, but I'm not sure if I actually want that. Okay, well, so how do I figure it out? It's kind of like when you know, and when you don't know with certainty. And that's cool too. That's just being authentic. That's just being with your knower, being with the awareness of who you are.
I hadn't thought of the knowing of I don't know before you just said it just now. So knowing that you don't know is certainty and knowing and that grounded feeling.
Yeah.
We're very used to though, I think we're very used to I don't know being not accepted as an answer.
Exactly. That's why I brought it up because I am around people and my clients and my friends that are giving themselves all kinds of shit because they don't know yet.
Mhm.
But what they know is that they don't know. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, like culturally, like that's a bad thing. You're indecisive. You can't make up your mind. You have to figure it out. Like you better figure it out, you know. Well,
It's
no.
all it's also equally culturally bad though to rush into decisions and make snap judgments and
Yeah.
oh she rushed into it. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, I think that we could go off on that one for a while. Like somebody probably wouldn't be damned if they rushed into a decision and,
Oh
2
yeah.
weeks later it was culturally accepted that she did the right thing. If there, we know there's no such thing as right and wrong. There's just what is. Decisions are happening, people are doing things, and there's just what is, you know? So,
Yeah, we just don't accept I don't know as a certainty.
right.
Yeah,
It's the flip, it's the opposite side of the same coin.
yeah.
You know or you don't know.
Or people say no is a complete sentence, as in yes or no. I don't know is a complete sentence.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. So people can, you can have that grounded certainty is the word that's coming up for me. It's familiar. You're like home. It feels like aligned and vibrationally matched with the peace and love that is our true nature when you know. And when you know that you don't know, if you don't go up in your head and start making that a problem, that's where you can experience that's knowing. I know that I don't know. Could be that, you're just waiting for more information, not even on an intellectual level. You're just waiting for your innate wisdom to reveal something to you. Like it's not time to know about this thing.
Yeah.
So people can relax around, I don't know. I don't know what I actually want. But I do like, we kind of sniffed out last week the, I think I want something and it's not in it, but I don't actually want that. Sounds like a good idea, or I think I should, right? Or I think we talked about, well, I could, so I probably should do that thing, want that thing, get that thing. Mm, you know.
Yeah. There's times where a person is really good at something, but they don't actually enjoy the thing. Some people are very good at certain sports, but they don't enjoy doing that sport. But then they feel because they get so much positive feedback, or, they're super good at dunking basketballs or whatever the thing is, but they don't actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, if you know that you don't want to, that's a knowing.
My husband loved his guitars and his drum set, and he was awful. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. That's not true at all. But I don't believe he could play a song from start to finish. He loved playing his guitars. He loved. Now I'm not so musically inclined that there could have been a lot of talent in his drumming and I just couldn't hear it. But to me, it didn't really sound like anything like a
Yeah.
song. But he knew, we had a music room for him. Like he loved doing that. And he knew that was brought him joy. And he didn't care that he wasn't that good at it.
Yeah. Coming to mind, there's a difference between wanting and knowing. And sometimes you want something, but you're not going to actually do anything to get it.
Yeah.
Or you know that you want, um, so this might be a funny example, but I think most adults can relate to it. I've been married for almost 30 years. Really? Have you, Sarah? Yes, I have. And over that time, every now and then, I meet someone who I find very attractive. Some guy who I think, oh man, I'd love to, get with him. And I genuinely want to have some sort of experience with this person. But I know that I would rather stay married to my husband. And I know that, and that makes it sound like it's just like a commitment thing or like just because I have a ring on my finger or something like that, but it's not true. I know that I just know that I'm not going to pursue that. And so yeah, I genuinely want an experience, but at the same time, I'm not going to do that. A less a less sexy example. I wanted to, and I still kind of, yeah, I still want to. I think it'd be fun to get back into figure skating that I used to do for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's a group, an adult team near here. And the last time I checked in with them, they hadn't yet restarted after the pandemic. They might this fall, this September, they might reboot it. But I realized even if they were having practices now, and if it was something I could join now, I know that I have no intention of actually following through with committing time to it, getting skates again. And yeah, so I want to, but I don't see it as something that I know I'm not going to actually do it, which is interesting.
You know, Sarah, to me, wanting, I have for years and years talked about desire, which I, I, in certain situations, I have preference for one word versus the other, desire, want. But, in the past, I would say, I used to, I mean, I said the saying, desire is divine. But as we talk about wanting, it reminds me of that. And it reminds me of aliveness. Because when you go about creating or having the thing you want, it's a creative process, right? There's
Mhm.
something you want, and it's either, it may already exist in form, but it isn't yours yet. You haven't bought it. The car's not sitting in your driveway. You're right. So to
Mhm.
me, that's the creative process. You're going to create the money, go to the dealership, negotiate the deal, get the car, bring it home. That's life. That's lifing. That's so this idea that you were talking about, like the figure skating, that it reminded me all of a sudden of that. It's like that's aliveness. That's like that's like, but so it may be that I've been reading Big Magic right now by Liz Gilbert.
Mm.
And she talks about creative ideas in her I don't know that I agree with this, but she says that they're like living things and that the creative idea is just waiting for the right person to say yes.
Mm.
And that she's had some come to her, and for whatever reason it wasn't a yes for her. And then the book was written by somebody else.
Mm.
Um, but whether it's like that or not, I think the wanting to figure skate to me is just, it just feels like life, wanting to come through you as an expression. And then there's this thing called time, and for whatever reason, like, we're not going to probably have the experiences of having every single thing we want, but the engaging with the wanting, like, to me, that's just like, it's almost like a conversation with God in some ways. It's kind of a dance of the creative life force. That's what it feels like to me. And it's okay to want and to engage with the want, but not get into action with it.
Mhm.
It's kind of like dating, but not getting married. you know.
Well, yeah, I see it as we have the freedom to want whatever we want.
We do have that freedom. I love that word.
'Cause people
Yeah.
people feel guilty for wanting certain things, or they feel like upset that they don't know what they want, or there's a lot of where people have they put a lot of thinking on wanting rather than just what you can want whatever you want. You don't have to actually go out and get it. Or you can, which we'll actually talk about next time, part 3, the going out and getting the creative process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You know, for me, I've had the experience of, before I say this, yeah, I'm not going to think about it. It seems like this is true, that that the discovery of what I actually required that I started doing the thing
Mm.
to actually find out if I actually wanted it. So I was in a pickleball clinic this weekend. It was a ton of fun. And one of the pros had gone to India, I think, and did a pretty intensive doctorate to become studies to become a homeopath. So he became a doctor of homeopathy. And then he got introduced to pickleball and he's like, I want to be outside. I want to. So he was the head pro. He does 45 of these weekend clinics all around the country, lives in San Diego, plays pickleball. And he's like, yeah, I'm a doctor and I'm teaching pickleball. And I was like, you know what? Don't beat yourself up for going through all of that to money and time and effort and time. I'm sure it was a great experience for him. We didn't talk about it that much, but his eyes lit up and I was like, hey, I've done a ton of things exploring something that I thought I wanted, and 20% along the way of getting the thing, I changed my mind. I realized I didn't actually want it. So nothing wrong with trying and exploring also in the process of discovering what you actually want.
Yeah, I hear some of the interface between knowing and wanting in what you're saying, like
Oh,
you you want to explore something, but or partway along, well, this isn't what I want to do.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or yeah, because knowing and wanting are two separate things, but they relate together.
Yes.
But
Yes.
they are like a separate feeling. Um, there's a bit of knowing that I wanted to talk about because it relates to next time. Um, in the going forward in the creative process, there's often like, what's the next thing to do? And that's where knowing comes in really
Yeah.
handily, helpfully. If you know what the next step is to do, then you can just go forward doing it without a lot of overthinking.
And
And if you don't know, you wait till you do know
yeah.
and you don't have a lot on it.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's what we're going to talk about more next time.
we will. Okay, so people out there, you can explore and think about your wantings and your knowings. And tune in next week for the next chapter in the creative process. Bye.
Bye. Bye.